Hi, Miss Michael. My name is
Hi.
Jill. I'm
Hi.
an occupational therapy student, and today we're going to be doing visual function screens. We're going to be doing just a lot of really short little tests about your vision.
Okay.
So we're going to start off with mobility. So can I just have you back your chair up and just stand up? And we're just going to back up a little bit more.
Okay.
And I'm just going to have you take a few steps while you're turning your head.
Okay.
And let me know if you have any dizziness, blurred vision.
It's very blurry. It's hard for me to see.
Okay.
For sure.
So so if you are having problems with that dizziness or blurriness, it could lead to falls, like when you're getting up and you're getting out of bed and you're going to the bathroom. You could trip over things. There's usually obstacles all over the floor. So next week in clinic, we're going to make a little obstacle course, like if we were going from your bedroom to the bathroom, and we're going to identify the little obstacles, things like tripping over a cord or maybe a bookshelf that's pointed out. That way you kind of are expecting those obstacles so you can avoid them in the future.
Perfect.
So the next test we're going to do is looking at your acuity. So can you read this line for me?
Yes, University of St. Augustine.
And can you read that line over there?
Everything kind of looks blurry and the words and stuff are kind of all together.
Okay.
It's hard to read.
Since you are having problems with that could affect your ability to pay bills. Hold on 1 minute. So that could affect your ability to pay bills, since if you're getting them in the mail, it may be really hard to see, so you may not pay the right amount. So next week we could either use like a magnifier to help those letters get bigger, or we could also do some education on bill paying on the computer, where you can increase the font size so you'd be able to read it better.
Okay.
So the next test we're going to do is a light reflex test. So I'm going to just kind of have you kind of shade your eyes, and what I'm going to be doing is using a flashlight to test your pupillary reflex. So I'm going to come from the left side first. Good. And then I'm going to come from the right side. Good. So since you do appear to be having some problems with that, that would make it really difficult from going from like a really dark environment to a light environment. So if you're getting up in the middle of the night and then you're in a dark room and you go to the bathroom and you flip on all the lights, it can make it really difficult to see.
Yeah.
So next week we're going to practice when you're getting into the bathroom, you're turning on the lights to first kind of shade your eyes and just slowly adjust to the light. And before you make any movements, actually scan the environment and see what you're looking at.
Okay.
So the next one we're going to be looking at is double vision. So, are you having any double vision when you're looking at this object?
Yeah, there looks to be like 2 or 3 of them.
Can you try and grab at the object that you see? Okay.
Yeah, that's hard for me to do.
Okay. So it does look like you're having some problems with the double vision, so that would make it really hard to difficulty with eating. If you're going to use a glass or a cup and you're seeing 2 things, it can be really frustrating. Things can fall, things can break. So next week, our activity, we're going to be using kind of like a solid, like a blue cup, and we're going to be really focusing, when you're drinking, on focusing on like the rim of the cup, and that way you're really by focusing on it, it will be easier to bring it to your mouth and not to spill.
Okay.
So the next one we're going to be doing is looking at the field of vision, and we're going to be doing a confrontation test.
Okay.
So I'm going to have you cover your left eye, and what I'm going to have is my fingers going to be out in different directions, and I want you to let me know when you can see it.
Okay. Now.
Okay. Okay, and then we're going to switch and do the other eye.
Now.
Great. So it does seem seem like you're having a little bit of problems with your field of vision. So that could cause you having injuries if you're, going through the kitchen and you're bumping into things. If you bump into your table because you don't see it, it could lead to a fall or an injury. So next week we're going to work on an activity where we're, since I know cooking is really important, where we're going to lay out all the different ingredients. But we're really, since you're having more issues with your right side, we're going to be putting all the items on your right side. And then we're going to, I'm going to have you kind of try to visually scan to look for those objects that you're not seeing well, and even using like tactile cues where you're actually going to be reaching out to touch the items so you know that they're there.
Okay.
So the next one we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at the saccades, which is kind of your quick eye movements. So I'm going to be using these two objects, and I'm going to either say green or yellow, and I want you to try, without moving your head, just glancing back and forth with your eyes.
Okay.
So yellow, green, green, yellow, green, yellow, yellow, green. Good. So it does seem like you're having a little bit of problems, and that can make it really difficult when you're studying for a test, since you're not able, to read the sheet and go back to your the notes you're taking. So next week we're going to focus on using like a two-sided textbook where you're going back and forth, reading the different lines, focusing on actually what it says. That way it'll make it easier for you to study.
Okay.
So the next one we're doing is the convergence, where the eye is focusing on one object. So for this one, I'm going to hold the object in front of you, kind of in the midline, and as I bring it closer to you, I want you to let me know if it's blurry or if you're seeing two of them.
Okay. Yeah, no, yeah, that's really blurry.
Okay.
And it looked like there was multiple of them.
Okay. Since you do have problems with this, this could also make it really difficult when you're eating. If you're trying to bring a cup up to your mouth and all of a sudden you're seeing two of them, it can make you really disoriented, and it may make you spill or completely miss your mouth, and that can be really frustrating, I know.
Yeah.
So for the activity, we're going to really focus on the one object first. And then as we bring it up, just very slowly focusing on the cup to try and eliminate that double vision, since your focus is all on the one thing.
Okay.
So the next one we're going to be doing is your range of motion. So for this one, I'm just going to use my hand, and we're kind of going to be doing in these big arcs. So I'm always going to start at the center and arc out and come back in, and we're going to be kind of doing a full range.
Okay.
So just try and follow my finger with your eyes and not moving your head.
Okay.
So I'm going to start here. Good. So it does seem like you're having a little bit difficulty with some of your range of motion, which would be difficult if you have like a big pantry and you're making something like lasagna, where you have ingredients all over the place and you're really not able to see all of those things at once to kind of collect them.
Right.
So an activity next week is we kind of have a pantry that we made in the clinic, and I'm going to give you kind of a list of ingredients, and we're going to focus on kind of visually finding each object. And then in the very center of the pantry, I'm going to have a pot, since usually you'd be putting everything in.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to have you visually, almost like you're picking up the object and putting it in the pot, and then going to the next item.
Okay, cool.
So the next one we're going to look as your accommodation. So for this one, I'm going to be having you focus on an object that's a little further away. And then one that's closer.
Okay.
So, first can you read this word?
Yes, Nestle.
And can you read that word on the bottle?
Swell.
And can you read this word?
Nestle.
And read that word?
Swell.
Can you read this word?
Pure Life.
And can you read that first initial?
T.
And can you read this word?
Nestle.
And then can you read the last letter?
Swell.
And then last one, can you read this word?
Yes, Pure Life.
And can you read that bottom word?
Swell.
Okay, great. So it does seem like you're having a little bit problems with accommodation. And that would be something difficulty when you're driving, when you're going back and forth, checking your speedometer, which is really close to if you're checking like a stop sign or a stoplight in the distance, and going back and forth.
Okay.
So next week as an activity, what I'm going to do is put up some signs in the clinic of different road signs, and then I'm also going to have cards up close that have different speed limits on it, and I'm just going to have you trying to go back and forth, reading them, making sure everything is really clear, and that you're focusing on each one.
Okay.
So the next one we're going to do is the pursuits testing, which is a smooth visual tracking. So I'm going to have you look straight at me. And then for this one, again, I want your head to stay still and just focusing with your eyes.
Okay.
So just follow my finger. Great. So you're having a little bit of problems tracking, and I know one of your leisure activities you really like to do in your free time is skeet shooting. So that would make it really difficult for you to follow the skeet disc in the air and then to be able to really concentrate it, know where it is at to shoot it.
Okay.
So next week, what we're going to be doing is I'm actually not going to be shooting them, but just throwing up the skeet disc at various heights and coming from different angles. And we're really going to focus on you just being able to track it with your eyes and focusing on it.
Cool.
So our last test is a spatial relations test. So I've drawn some different X's on a sheet of paper for you. And then I want you to try to copy them the same that they're laid out on this sheet of paper.
Okay.
So exactly how it appears. So it does look like you're having some difficulties with the spatial relations, which would make it really difficult for you when you're getting dressed to, line up buttons or line up a zipper to get dressed in the morning. So next week our activity is going to be on using a button-up shirt to buttons. And to start off with, we are going to actually have the shirt in front of you. That way you're actually able to physically see all the buttons and the buttonholes, and we're going to be working on actually physically touching them to manipulate them, and then I'll provide commands like, let's grab the 5th button with your left hand. That way you have some good verbal cues to know exactly where your hand should be going with what hand and with which button.
Okay, perfect.
So that's the end of our visual function screen. Do you have any questions for me?
No, I look forward to next week.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.